Security screening, done. Passport control, check. A cup of coffee, a magazine from the duty-free store, and a short line later, I'm finally on board the plane. Now, just let me buckle my seatbelt, live through the takeoff, and some 40 minutes later, I hear my favorite phrase in the world: chicken or fish. But it seems that the question really is to eat or not to eat. I've got to admit, I'm a huge fan of airplane food. But you see, my best friend isn't. You can't imagine all the times we argued ourselves hoarse about the quality and taste of airline food. Honestly, one day it started grating on my nerves, and I decided to find out everything I could about the meals on airplanes. It turns out that airline companies plan all their meals up to a year in advance. And when I say plan, I mean they count every single cherry tomato that you'll later find in your salad. You've probably heard that famous story when American Airlines managed to save $40,000 after they removed an itsy-bitsy olive from each salad on their flights. Yep, it's all about the right planning. And if you think airplane food is just some frozen stuff cooked months in advance, think again. Wait, don't say anything yet, let me finish. Naturally, the food isn't prepared on the plane either, because there's literally no space to do it on board. Besides, there are particular safety standards that most likely don't include sharp knives and open fire. Nope, airplane food is prepared on the ground, not far from the airport. Large airline catering companies, such as LSG Sky Chefs, can produce a whopping 15,000 bread rolls an hour and more than 30,000 sandwiches a day. And mind you, they work 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. What's even more unexpected for us simple passengers is that most dishes are prepared by hand, even though some processes are automated. For example, they say LSG Sky Chefs Frankfurt hire 2,075 employees who cook 85,500 meals a day. Also, the meals get refreshed all the time, according to modern food trends. At the same time, your airplane food isn't exactly super fresh. Typically, your meal gets prepared 10 hours before you take that first bite. But you wouldn't be able to eat this food right after it's been cooked on the ground. The trick is that, let's say, chicken usually leaves the kitchen only 60% done, and steak just 30% ready. After that, all the food gets chilled in special fridges and transported to the plane in a peculiar state. Not completely frozen, but not edible either. And the final stage of hot dish preparation happens on board. Interestingly, the people responsible for creating meals usually test the dishes that are about to appear on the menu right up in the air. Well, there's a serious reason for that. When you're on the plane, your nose gets dry because of low humidity. This, along with the pressure change during takeoff, and even the constant noise from jet engines, makes your taste buds not as perceptive as they are on the ground. In other words, you perceive no more than 30% of the taste of your food. That's why chefs had to add extra ingredients, such as extra spice, extra salt, extra sugar, to all the dishes they cook. So, remember those chicken wings you were eating on your last flight? They would set your mouth on fire if you munched on them in the terminal. But let's get back to our trays with airplane food. If they can't board right away, the meals wait in their own gate lounge. It's not unlike your lounge, but freezing cold and resembling a massive refrigerator. Then everything depends on whether the plane is ready to leave on time. If there's a delay, which is announced in advance, the food just stays in its fridge lounge. But what if it's already been delivered on board? In most cases, if the delay is too long, the airlines just dump the load and ask the catering company for a replacement shipment. Oh my, what a waste! But I must admit, better that than getting food poisoning mid-flight. So let's say the plane leaves on time, takeoff goes smoothly, and several hundred passengers follow the flight attendants with hungry eyes. No pun intended. That's the cabin crew's clue that it's time to reheat the meals. No, they don't shove food trays into microwaves. Probably because there are no microwaves on board. Instead, they use convection ovens with fans that blow hot air onto the meals. It helps to prepare the food pretty fast, in about 20 minutes. While your food is steaming in the oven, emitting mouth-watering smells, it's time for drinks. Now, I never ever drink tomato juice on the ground. Guess it's not my cup of tea? Haha. But in flight? Oh boy, give me 2, or better 3. And look at all those people who all of a sudden decide to share my newly found love for tomato juice. Disappointingly, there's no mystery here. As you remember, in the dry airplane air, your sinuses get bogged up, and as a result, you start to crave salty and acidic stuff. Eventually, you get your food and bite into your meal. After you finish, there are still some cookies left on the tray. But you're so stuffed, you decide to leave them. After all, they're unopened, and surely the airline will be able to serve them on another flight. Unfortunately, it's against the law to reuse anything a passenger has had on their meal tray. It may lead to spreading disease, and airline companies don't want to take chances. That's why your cookies are going to be vacuumed into a special underground room and burned. To avoid such unnecessary waste, share the cookies with your neighbors or hide them in your carry-on to chomp on later. On the other hand, it was a great surprise for me to find out that all the dishes I eat from during the flight, even the plastic ones, are reusable. The same catering companies that prepare food for airlines also have huge dishwashing areas where they wash and sanitize plates, cups, and cutlery. Interestingly, every plane has 3 sets of tableware. One is used on board the aircraft, the second is in the dishwasher, and the third set is always ready to replace the stuff that has not been lost or broken. And now, last but not least, I want to warn you about one thing. Airlines state that the water they use to make hot drinks is safe to drink and meets all necessary regulations. But the fact is that the water tanks on planes often become a playground for all kinds of bacteria. For example, when the Environmental Protection Agency tested water taken from about 300 aircraft back in 2004, the researchers discovered that 15% of all the samples contained coliform bacteria. And since these bacteria are often found in feces, they are typically used to determine how sanitary the water is. It goes without saying that nowadays, after new, stricter rules and regulations have been introduced, the situation has significantly improved. But still, from time to time, routine checks prove that the quality of water on commercial airplanes is still an issue. If you're still worried, boiling the water should destroy all the pathogens that could be in it. But as they say, better safe than sorry. That's why I always try to get my daily portion of caffeine in the terminal before the flight. Do you like in-flight meals, or do you prefer to bring your own food on board the plane? Let me know down in the comments. If you learned something new today, then give this video a like and share it with a friend. Stay on the bright side of life.